Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your kind words. But to tell the truth, when you get the job to talk about history, it means that your scientific career is over. I'm really very happy to be here with you because Icomst have so big influence and significant in my life. So I really enjoy being here with you. So I'm going to talk about the history of Icomst, but it will not be a professional story of history, because I'm a butcher, I'm not a historian. But anyway, let's start thinking how the situation was in the world and in Europe in early 50s when the idea of these icons started. So part of the Europe looked almost like what you see in the picture. And there was not so much systematic meat research before World War II, and hardly any research collaboration. The war was over, but Europe have started to recover. They started to live normal life and plan the future. The world was divided into blocks, different political and geographical blocks. Western world, socialistic countries, neutral countries, third war, winners and defeated. Traveling was possible again, but it was not easy, particularly to outside Europe. Fleischwirtschaft, the German paper, was the leading, or almost the only meat science journal at that time. So, but these 10 years, they did good to Europe and the world. Peace returned to our lives. Meat consumption was about 60 million tons, and the population number was 2.8 billion, or as I say, giga people. In 2013 it was 3,008 million tons, 7 times more, and the population number was last Friday at noon, and you see the number there. I checked it this morning, it was about 500,000 more than Friday. So I have used, when I did this, 3 books. There are the history of Icomst till 1986, and then to the 40th meeting there is a thinner book and also some stories. So actually I have had history talk 20 years ago, so that was the time. And then I have my files at the Institute, and I try to check them what has happened over the years as well. Initiative, the director of Finnish Meat Industry Research Center, Fritz Niinivaara, later Professor Niinivaara, traveled in Europe and in the USA in early 50s, and he met several people who expressed their need for scientific collaboration in meat science. People of great significance were Mogens Juul from Denmark and Jean-Pierre Dole from France, who also had some kind of ideas of collaboration. But then, and that was the crucial point, Niinivaara suggested a meeting. In USA, there had been meetings already since 1948. So the first meeting was organized in Finland, in Hämeenlinna, 1955, almost 60 years ago. There were not so many participants there. Out of these people, 3 are Finns, the hosts, so you can see 6 foreign guests at the first meeting. This one was the official Congress picture that was supposed to be in the local journal, but they published this one when the Congress went to sauna. The first meeting, it was more like a seminar where all participants presented their work that they were doing at that moment. And they discussed about the need of those meetings in the future. And the areas covered microbiology, slaughter technology, basically. And afterwards, there was a clear move towards scientific meetings from second meeting on. So the meat science aspects came into the picture, microbiology again, technology, quality, and so on. And one aspect that was also very important was the meat field education in all levels, especially in the universities. And they, from the first meeting on, they started visits to research units and meat factories. The third meeting was already called European Meeting of Meat Research Workers. And English-speaking people said, well, this is not a good name. But that was used because it was, in German it was sounded much better. But the meeting started to have modern structure with session, chairman, rapporteurs already in 50s. The fundamental reports about basic themes like PSE, ATP and its role, sodium chloride, pH, technologies and so on were there, and they are still here. Papers were very long and very detailed at that time. And when I was just going through the papers, I found an interesting property. There were actually no statistics at that time. But okay, the conclusions were drawn and they are still valid. So where do we need that damn statistic? And the speakers at that time were the most prominent senior scientists, and they all participants had a talk. Many of those papers may have not been published elsewhere, so it means that meat research workers' meetings had a very significant, were a very significant way of knowledge transfer at that time. So these are the list for the 16 first meetings, and you can see that same countries, they are European only, and the number of people participating were constantly increasing. And also there were accompanying persons who were called ladies at that time. And also the number of papers increased. And how do you like the price of the meeting? $15 US, all included. Okay, first meeting, sitting in a classroom and having dinner. Okay, you know that. Next one was larger, mostly because there were a number of people from the Kulmbach Institute. Then in Denmark, again, more people, and here comes a very important thing. I point this person here, and think about yourself in late 50s. He's Dr. Gorbatov from Russian Research Center. So this was a very important thing that all European nations were accepted, although there were the blocks there. So this is the idea of Niinivaara, that everybody can attend. Niinivaara is standing here. So, going on, fifth meeting was in Paris, where we are going to meet next year. And again, more and more people, and at that time it was customary to take pictures of the meeting. The sixth meeting, again, a lot of people and accompanying persons are in the picture as well, and some children, which is nice as well. So, this is the eighth meeting was in Moscow, and that was a big thing, and it was a large meeting, as you can see, but it also reflects how freely the meetings moved in Europe at that time. So this is a photo about Mugens Juhl, who was a wonderful person as well, and organized these meetings and the idea behind it. So Dr. Ockerman, I think he has been with us since 60s. Herbert, can you please raise up? You have almost 50. Oh, the whole body. You are so young man. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next 10, which is still European meat research workers. And now you see at the 13th meeting there are a lot of people present, so this is already then a large conference, 1967. 1968 was a very turbulent year in Europe, and there was a phenomenon called Prague Spring, and then there was it has political and military consequences, and so the meeting had to be cancelled. And that was a few days before it started. So at that time, the way was that each meeting, there was a meeting of contact persons, and they decided the next meeting. So there was only 1 year for preparation time. So because there were no meeting, there were no next meeting either. So the contact persons, only a handful of people were called to Vienna, and they had meeting, and there Niinivaara said, okay, I will do it, starting in November. How do you think those people who have organized the meeting, how to do it in a few months? But it was there, so a lot of people there, garden party. People don't remember anything about the science, but they all remember the garden party. So that's the way it is in this life. And at this meeting, there was a printed book with 4 languages and all that stuff. And remember, the planning started in November. So there you see again the numbers, 71 to 86, so they are 200, 300, almost 400 people. And the number of papers are also increasing, the number of delegates are increasing, and sad to see also the prices have a tendency to increase, and that still continues. This is again a photo that was called, as I said before, Ladies Program, but in modern English it's Accompanying Persons Program. This is a very important meeting. Why? Because that was my first meeting. I'm standing here. Yes. I was a young man with hair. And so this meeting is the 43rd meeting of mine in a row, so I have attended each meeting since Gulf, Canada. In that meeting, they published a daily bulletin, so every detail was there, and we could see, and we always knew what to do. Okay, the meetings went on, and still always one of the main points were the social part. Science is important. It's the key point, the basis, but in addition to that, there was the evening program. For instance, these people here, getting the General Research degree, in a way. And these people, Lotta Leisner, Ulle Bråten and Terry Roberts, they are just in Sweden pretending being Vikings, but actually the Norwegians say that Swedes are not Vikings, they are Norwegians. But never mind. Okay, usually there is a large diversity where we have had the Congress dinners. Sometimes it is in the castles, sometimes it is in the tent, but doesn't matter. It has always been fun to visit those occasions. This is Austria. Kulmbach is a very important meat research area, although it has changed its name, and they had a meeting 78. And again, this was one kind of turning point in that respect, that poster sessions were introduced. There were invited speakers and organized discussions. Before, it was so that everyone who contributed sent a paper, also presented it orally. So that was a big change in the history. So the familiar character, in a way, had to be changed at that time. So there has been always an excursion day when we have seen laboratories, we have seen industrial operations, culture, and so on, points of interest. This is from Grand Canyon, my photo once. We were able to see Mesa Verde in USA and all these aspects that I would never see before these meetings. So all this is in Chicago. This is Madison muscle laboratory, muscle biology laboratory, and people there. So I know this person very well. And we saw American beef industry and industry. This is the thing that happens in all countries. I happened to find these photos in my files, but every time there has been something similar. This is from the meeting in Spain. Dr. Garcia Matamoros, who is No. This one is Matamoros, this is a bull. He's playing, Matamoros is playing Toreador. Okay, then more modern era. And now the name has changed. From the 33rd meeting on, the meeting was called International Congress of Meat Science and Technology. Science and technology, they are both here with us. So, and I made the abbreviation Icomst, so it's easy to pronounce. And this is still the name. So there are 400 people and so on, and the number of papers was still increasing, and also the fees. These numbers that I have here are very difficult to get, and I'm not sure the way they have been, whether they have all been calculated the same way. So don't blame me if there are errors or something like that in those numbers. Okay, the 33rd meeting was in Helsinki, the first Icomst. So this was me and my wife and the Congress Secretary, and then the new name was introduced. And I also want to stress that usually it is so that the chairman are mentioned, that it was his meeting, but actually who do very much of the work, or would I say most of the work, I don't know with Fabio, but with other meetings, are people behind the chairman, and mostly ladies. And then there are also invited speakers that prepare the lectures for us, chairman and secretary, so they do the meeting plus the participants. So we have had much fun. Meetings, we have visited homes of the hosts, we have had parties. You may know him, Fidel Castro. He visited the hotel where the Congress was he just walked in. So people were very surprised when he came in. So that was a moment that people will remember. All right, that photo was sent to me by Robin Warner. So I introduced here. It was in Canada. Again, new era. 10 years ago, the 15th International Congress on Meat Science and Technology was again in Helsinki. So it has been 4 times in Finland and 4 times in Denmark, so 3 times in several countries, and France will next year join to the four Congress group. So some nations take the responsibility for several times, so which ensures the continuation of these meetings. That meeting was in the Solemnity Hall of the University of Helsinki, our meeting. So again, excursions, and this photo here I wanted to take because this is Donald Kinsman, who is one of the authors of the history book and also a very central personality during these meetings. The other ones are Mugens Juul, Niinivaara, and Abraham Saloma. And this is now the end of the story when we talk about history, or not totally because there is the 60th meeting here, but so that the number of the participants has stabilized somewhere around 400 participants. And also the number of papers is stabilized into 300, so it's a reasonable amount of material. But if we evaluate the papers, I could say something similar what David Lister said 10 years ago, that there is a tendency that the so-called senior scientists do not publish or not present their papers by the poster sessions. So it's very nice that the younger researchers do that, but also it is necessary that the senior scientists also join to the poster sessions. That will also influence the scientific quality of the meeting. I don't know which way. I am talking about myself when I said that. Well, this is one example of the tent type evening. So industry and several things, discussions, posters, discussions again, dancing. These are the most, the youngest ones I have ever seen dancing. And this crocodile is from South Africa, and he didn't pay the participation fee. Again, I maybe talk too much about the social aspect, but it is really valuable to go around in the world and see things that you couldn't see otherwise. This is the China Mauer. It's the only time I have been there, and it was most interesting. I just checked that there are no underage present, because in South Africa we even participated brandy tasting. So there are all aspects involved in our meetings. So it's not easy to have photos of the whole meeting. These are the contact persons meeting in South Korea, Jeju Island, and this is a reasonable size. They also tried to take a picture of the whole participant group, but it was not a real success. People were moving and it was not possible. I wonder if we would try to do that, it won't work. Okay, it's meeting, but it's eating. And people are eating a lot, and also, like in here, the hosts do their best to have local food and good meat for everybody. So this is only showing what we experience in Belgium. This is Belgium blue, which is important thing. And then Canada, Montreal, again outside Europe, so we have the tendency to have every second year in Europe where everything started, and then every second year somewhere else than Europe. So to go more to the scientific part of the congresses, there are more or less agreed, and actually they have been written down in Copenhagen 2000, what are the topics that should be, more or less should be in every meeting. It's biochemistry of meat, quality and analysis, microbiology, fresh meat properties, slaughter technology, and cooked products technology, fermented and their technology, anyhow, whatever production technology, and nutrition has been there, and toxicological aspects, and later on environment and animal welfare. I will talk about that later more, but these aspects are more or less new if we take the whole 60 years period, but they are very important. If we talk about megatrends, I would say teratrends or something like that, because these are of great importance for the mankind. And then there are diverse subjects. One thing was decided very early, that poultry will not be a part of the meetings. So later on it was decided that yes, poultry can be posters, but not as a main topic. But if we now think about the importance of poultry in meat sector, I would suggest that we reconsider that aspect, that maybe we should take poultry really into these meetings, although there are different separate poultry meetings. But these are meetings that start from egg or before egg to the growth of the animal, but not so much the meat quality. So we should, to my understanding, take the meat quality aspects of poultry into these meetings and start them. So fish, again, it's muscle food. Should we take that as with us? So maybe a little bit further away than poultry. Poultry is meat. Engineering, so keep the difference between technology, the production technology, and real engineering, hardware. So engineering is not a topic at these meetings. And economics, again, it has been there a couple of times, like recipe calculations and linear programming, but economics as such has not been an issue here. And animal science aspects, we try to keep them out because there are separate meetings for them, and they don't actually deal with meat science the way we are doing it. Proceedings. I would like to say that the only place, to my understanding, where they are all is the University of Helsinki meat section. We have them as books. These are from 55 to 71, and including the first printed book. And these are 72 to 91, again, books. But then here we have 92 to how about that? So I have read that many times that now I notice that. Okay, but now you remember it. So, and then there are the invited papers for the later years are also there. And the reason for that is that, okay, this is how they look. They are much more terrible looking paper than this one. And then they started to use more modern systems, like this is from Kulmbach. And the reason is here. 1993, it was the first time we have electronic proceedings. And now it's always like that. So we have different USB sticks nowadays. They were CD-ROMs earlier, and so on. This is the way printing material is not that important anymore. So that comes, I used the opportunity to talk about the project I'm trying to do now. It's called Icomst. So I have realized that the materials, they disappear from the internet without any previous warning. One day you are looking them, they say, it's not there anymore. So last year in Izmir, we decided that all, let's say all available proceedings material will be scanned or used existing electronic material. And the material should be useful, and this material will increase the value of these meetings, because then we know that when we publish something, it will be available, so to say, forever. There will be a search function in the material, so that we can use so-called letter identification properties and read the files, but it's not possible to have one word for all the material, so it's year by year only. But maybe I will put the keywords into those materials. That would be easy. I have calculated that it's about 12,000 papers. If I read them all and add the keywords, so you will see me after 10 years still doing that. we have now all the titles and author names in Excel sheets, and we have planned everything, but what we need is now the scanning of the material, the older material. It looks like, the page looks like that, and we can, for instance, have the word nitrite here and use the search, and then it finds one paper, and that paper can be opened then. So let's wait. The computer people said that it will do it, so relax, breathe normally and relax. About halfway. Actually, it opens quicker in my computer. That's why I introduced that. So, but sorry, using your time. Soon. It's there. Yes. And then again, if I use the word yes, and it will find the word and then find more of them. So this is the way it will function. So this is what we are going to. What should I do? Canceller. I hope I don't close the whole system. How do I close this? This one. Okay. And this one. Okay, fine. And therefore, this is the reason why I had this, was that I hope, really hope that those countries that have not contributed red, please help me, and in so doing, yourselves and your colleagues, current and those who will come all over the world, and get some contribution. I have sent hundreds of emails asking for help, and the response has been, what would I say, passive. So I hope that Icomst will not be only zero, but in near future we can start scanning because we have the system. So meat is our issue, but during the dinners we say that we are not meat eaters, we eat mixed diets. So there is fish, there are vegetables, and there is meat on our plates as well. The organization of these meetings and the Congress structure. First, as I have said, all participants participate in decision-making, and later on, when the meetings became larger, there were contact persons, national representatives, who decided the coming meetings and some other aspects. And then the chairman and the organization committee were responsible after that when the decision was made. We issued Icomst guidelines and later on recommendations that are not official, like the guidelines, and there are pretty good rules how to do that. And first the papers were sent to the participants, or at least the rapporteurs, before the meeting. And then only abstracts were sent beforehand, and then nowadays nothing is sent. So maybe in the future the contribution may be downloaded in a cloud before the meeting, who knows. and the Icomst project is there. The structure has been the same: 2 days, 1 excursion day, and then again 2 days. That was basically the structure and is still. And there is accompanying person's program and Congress tools. Then we have had contact points. First, it has always been in Finland. First, Professor Niinivaara, and since '82 I have taken that responsibility. So it's a free mode of organizing the meeting, almost without rules. But we have continuously been talking about the structure, what are the themes, shall we take poultry, technical tour, how long it will be, what are the costs, shall we have or shall we not have parallel sessions. And we continue like that. 5 minutes, yes, I see. Okay. So Niinivaara was the key person at the beginning, and he did a lot for these meetings. So we have a continuation. There will be in France, in Thailand, in Ireland, in Australia, in Germany and USA, and European colleagues see that 2021 is free. Please volunteer. I need to have that meeting because that will be my 50th meeting and I want to attend that. Scientifically, these meetings have been very useful. My dream was to have a wonderful presentation about the scientific input, but I couldn't possibly do it with these 12,000 papers. But that I can say that it has had an enormous effect of the development of meat science and technology. There was less material, but the meetings were talking about more basic aspects. Socially, it has had a very big influence, and culturally, it has had a big effect. We have also introduced, that was in Denmark first, a doctoral school, and this has been also very useful because the young scientists must be in the international meetings in order to learn what science really is. So it means having fun. What is the future? And many research centers have been closed and fused to general food research centers. The universities close meat science chairs, and also the medical, nutritional, environmental, and social, that means animal welfare aspects, focus an immense pressure on meat or red meat. There are new technologies, especially for that are more not meat-specific, and very much of the basic things have already been studied. So there is a serious moment to think about the future of these meetings. How long there will be a need to meet every year to tell the results? What will be the consequences of modern IT technology? And you younger people, do you put the same value to the social aspects as we have put before? But what I see, that the same things, and that I really want to emphasize, they are still there. So what has developed is the methodology, not the subjects. They are still the same there. There are various aspects that I don't mention, but I give one example is PSE. I just wonder, we don't know, would that be that large problem if the British Meat Research Centre would not have been closed? Who knows? But I think that meat science meetings are very important. Animal welfare, environment, nutritional things are new things, And one thing I say again, there is the animal breeding. What are the consequences? They are economical, yes, but the burden, the quality problems, we must solve them. We must solve the animal breeding problems. Okay, I will end up telling that we like meat. This is from Izmir, meat, and the criticism is that we don't have anything but meat, and we don't eat anything but meat. But we do. There are vegetables, as you see. So, 1955 to 2014 and onwards, the history will continue. Thank you for listening.
Okay.